Many African cultures talk about living water for supporting life and plant growth. The idea of living water that is fit for purpose is really important for us to think about when we're looking at gardening. All Southern African cultures have developed in areas of very high seasonal climate variability. So they give close attention to water as a life-supporting resource. Water was historically cared for as a living resource, with seasonal ceremonies, with many cultures having sacred shrines at springs and in mountain catchments. Seasonal ceremonies and careful water management were important for preparing the land for crops and as a cycle of annual community life. The Xhosa, for example, had seasonal practices to capture winter rainfall in the soil. So ukuGalesha was how villagers collected water in the soil for the next season when they saw at the end of the season Orion's belt clear in the night sky. What they would do is bring in the cattle to fertilize the soil and to eat the residue of the previous crops, and then they would Galesha. They would break the soil cap so that the water could get into the soil and it would be soft and rich when the first rains came at the beginning of the next rainy season. So ukuGalesha was really important for capturing soil moisture. And today we capture water in dams. We also use rainwater tanks. And many of these tanks, you don't see gardens near them. But it's a very useful way, and people in rural areas have ways of conserving water. So you can actually have a rainwater tank for the water you need in the house, and you could also reuse that water and use some rainwater for gardening. You, of course, have methods that can be used to hold water so that it seeps into the soil. They're called retention drains, and you often find these in gardens as well. So, ukuGalesha, how do we know when we're looking at water? Well, indigenous people knew when it was good because they had ways of looking at water, and the Zulu, for instance, had ways of collecting amanzi, sweet water. So did the Xhosa and the Sotho and most other cultures in southern Africa. The dams, all you have to do is look at them, and if they've got living things on them, if they've got reeds growing around them, if they've got plants that are next to the water and they are looking green, and if they have fish, then you're looking at living water in a dam. But most important in a garden is that you can make green manure, or you can make the manure that you can water onto the plants for them to grow using a bag of chicken manure is very popular. And what I learned was that the farmers in their home gardens, where they had some chicken manure in the water, the chicken manure can burn the plants because it can get very, very rich. But the farmer would judge it by seeing, are there little water boatmen? Are there small little insects living in the water? And they would be able to tell that that was living water that could be put on plants to keep the plants healthy. So there's much to be learned from the heritage of water and agriculture in southern Africa.